Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty central, this idea that life is really your own journey, not some kind of race.
Yeah, and we're looking at it through Tarek Ryman's book, The Camino Within, specifically his walk on the Camino de Santiago.
Right. And the mission here, for you listening, is to maybe get a new angle on, well, shifting away from always comparing yourself, always competing.
And instead, focusing inward, understanding your own pace, your own choices. It's about finding what works for you.
So Ramon starts the Camino, and almost immediately, he's like super competitive.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, he's tracking every kilometer, checking constantly against Google Maps estimates.
The classic, am I beating the algorithm game?
Exactly. And then, get this, bragging about it in the hostels at night. He actually calls his own behavior pathetic later on.
Wow. It's interesting, though, isn't it, how easy it is to slip into that need for external validation, even on something deeply personal like a pilgrimage.
Totally. Measuring yourself against metrics, getting that little ego boost.
But maybe there's also just a natural tendency to, gauge where we are, to look for some kind of benchmark.
That's a fair point. But for
Yeah.
Riemann, the big shift, the turning point, was this realization. Pretty simple, but deep.
Oh, was it?
Just that the Camino, as with everything in life, should be taken at one's own pace. That was it.
Ah, okay. So moving from looking outward, comparing, to looking inward,
Yeah.
tuning into his own experience.
Precisely. It clipped that there isn't one right way to do it.
Yeah, that letting go of comparison must feel, well, incredibly freeing. Suddenly, it's his journey again.
And with that freedom came this huge sense of control. Like he was calling the shots.
How do you mean?
He realized, he decided when to wake up. He decided where to stop for that amazing Spanish omelet and coffee.
Sounds good. Or maybe a glass of wine.
Or a glass of wine. And who he wanted to walk with or talk to or just be alone. He puts it really well. He became the captain of my life.
That's powerful. That sense of agency, being in charge of your own choices. That's a much deeper motivator than just, beating Google Maps.
Absolutely. The Camino became this sort of training ground for that feeling.
So it wasn't just about walking, it was about reclaiming control.
Which brings us right to the core lesson, I think. He says, you have to always focus on what is working for you and not what works for others.
Right. And that applies way beyond the Camino, obviously.
Yeah, especially for listeners interested in learning and absorbing things quickly, but, properly. Comparing your learning speed to someone else, it's often just noise.
It's counterproductive.
Yeah,
The real goal is finding your rhythm, your best way to learn and grow, right?
exactly. What works for one person might be totally draining or ineffective for another. You've got to trust your own internal compass.
Absolutely. It's about figuring out what genuinely serves your well-being, your progress.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway from Remen's Camino is that huge shift in perspective.
Moving away from life as a race. Yeah.
Constantly measuring up against others.
And really embracing it as your personal journey, where you're in the driver's seat, you set the pace, you make the calls.
Yeah, you're the captain.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Take a moment and consider, is there an area in your life, maybe unintentionally, where you find yourself comparing, looking over your shoulder?
Ooh, good question.
And just imagine, what would it feel like? What might change if you consciously shifted that focus inward? If you decided to really trust your own pace and truly take the helm for that part of your journey?
Something powerful to think about. Definitely.